everyone. Good afternoon. Well, it's not afternoon yet. Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to our new campaign of Undying. Blood is life. I'm Katie. I use she, her pronouns. This is my channel, and these are the lovely people who are going to be playing with us today, with me today. I'm going to be playing Matilde, the puppet master, and I am very excited to have everyone here. We're going to go around and introduce ourselves and who we're playing, our pronouns, all of that good stuff. And then I'm going to be handing it over to Mikkel to take over because they're the one that knows stuff about this game, and I don't. I know the bare minimum about this game, enough to get me by. We're going to start with Velvet.
Hi everyone, I'm Velvet. I use Fae for pronouns, and I'll be playing Dorian Faye, who uses they them.
Up next, Matthias.
Hi, I'm Matthias. I use he and pronouns, and so does my my nightmare, Ambrogio.
And last but not least, our facilitator, Mikkel.
Yeah, that's me. I am Mikael. My pronouns are they, them. I am the MC, I believe it's called in this game, who has a little bit more control over the rules than the rest, but probably not enough. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. We'll learn along the way. We'll be playing Undying, which is a game about vampires, and it's not like it's dark, monstrous vampires. So expect to have vampires who try to struggle to keep their humanity and not turn into just bloodthirsty beasts ravaging the streets. So that's the game we're playing. We are set in a place called San Martino, which is a place in the middle of Europe somewhere. It's we described it in previous games as being like 2 hours from anywhere in Europe. So basically, put all your tropes about Europe in there if you want to. And it's year 1000 around that time. So Christianity has taken a hold in pretty much all of Europe. There's only like savage places like where I'm from in Norway where they're still struggling a little bit with that. It's not so long until we have crusades and stuff like that. So I believe there is, and I imagine like San Martino here is in the middle of like this big, vast empire. Basically, it's a city, a pretty, not a very big city, but big enough that there's supporting a fairly big vampire population along the main road from the capital. So it's a city along the coastline. So there's also there's a lot of trade and a lot of people coming through. Yeah, it's that's about it for what we have established or not established so far. We'll probably get more details of that as we go. First, we have already our players, their players here have already made some characters. So we'll like go like short around the table and like introduce them a little bit more. I'm thinking like describe how you look and say what your humanity and heritage is and your playbook. And that should be like enough. So we'll probably also get into a little bit with the mechanics of some things as we go. So you as viewers also can learn a bit about the game and understand what's going on. But I'll get to that after we introduce the characters. You want to go first, Katie?
Yeah, I can. So I'm playing Matilde Jacobson, she, her. She is the puppet master. The puppet master basically is someone who has an enterprise that they run, and meddles in the affairs of other people, but doesn't do it by their own hands. They do it by like their enterprise and like dirtying someone else's hands and not their own hands, which I really like. She doesn't know her age or her upbringing. Most things are sort of foggy outside of what her maker tells her, but that's fine with her because she is very focused on the future. She runs a drug den in San Martino, and she sort of takes advantage of the prey that comes to forget their worries. I sort of figured it as like an opium den, but I don't know how prevalent opium was at that time, and I refuse to do any research about anything ever. When you make your enterprise, you pick assets and liabilities. The assets that I picked were secretive and influential because I imagine that many like high society types found themselves as patrons. So she sort of knows how to work in and out of the well-known names that come in and out of the drug den. But her liabilities are moles and strife. So I think there are a lot of secrets, even though it's secretive, there are a lot of secrets that work against her inside of the drug den. She is sort of working to make a bigger name for herself, and is doing so with having a docile relationship with her maker. She's working alongside her maker to try to make herself more of a needed person alongside the hierarchy of predators and vampires. She wants to be a bigger known name. She's very unassuming looking. She looks very young, very weak looking, and uses that to her advantage.
Awesome. And what was your humanity?
I picked oh shit, where is it? Callus. I picked Callus.
Yeah, so basically what that means, like every vampire has like a humanity track, which basically is their kind of how close they are to becoming this mindless monster in some way. So there's both advantages to being more monstrous. You can have more blood. You care less about how you treat your the prey, so to speak. But also, yeah, it's it's harder to hide your activities, which is can be a problem because humans don't like vampires hanging around in their neighborhoods, even in this dark age here.
I think that she is seen like the worst of humans because in her business she's seen like how humans don't care about other humans, and so that's made her very callous to how other humans, to how she treats humans. So that's why I picked Callus. She doesn't really care about them, but she's not full out monstrous yet. At least there is still something that's keeping her humanity there, and it's probably mostly to keep her business running.
Cool, awesome. You want to go next with presenting Dorian, Spellbot?
Sure. So Dorian, Faye, they, them. For them, I use the Devil playbook, which basically the Devil is they have some kind of service that they can provide other people, or something that they have that only they have and they can give others. But they're also quite scrappy and have a pretty nefarious reputation. And Dorian has really leaned into that. The service they provide is information. So they've kind of made themselves indispensable in Predator society by having everyone's secrets, which makes it so, no one really risks coming after them unless they want their information outed. And also, since they have dirt on everyone, it kind of prevents, other people from banding together. And, they don't really have like as the playbook says, they wear their sin as a badge of honor. Dorian's business is happily out there for everyone to know, so it's not like anyone will ever be like, oh, I know this about you. It's like, cool. So does the whole of San Martino. For humanity, I also went for Callus. I think Dorian doesn't really care too much about other people, whether they're predator or prey, but just, the constant revelry and need to have that presence and connection, to be able to enjoy that bohemian lifestyle keeps him at least connected in that sense to the world of prey, as it were. They're in their mid, or at least they look like they're in their 20s, and also have a pretty solid relationship with their maker. They kind of have this symbiotic relationship going on where the maker provides, the funding and the means for Dorian to keep up their lavish lifestyle, and in return, Dorian is on the lookout for any information of any plots or schemes against their maker.
Awesome. And you want to go next with Ambrogio, Matthias?
Sure. So yeah, I'm playing Father Ambrogio, who sleeps in a small abbey. That's like on the cliffside, but I think it's like, I imagine this at least a part of San Martino to be like very steep, right? With these streets where like 1,000 years from now, people will have trouble driving a car up and down because it's it's horrible. And if someone else comes like opposite way, then you're like shit out of luck. So that kind of cliffside, small little abbey that that is basically his cover in a sense, but also because I'm playing the Nightmare. What I do is I often, like, of the prey that's worthy, I take ownership of them, and I let them drink my blood, which makes me basically mind control them, more or less, right? So that's my small little, what's it called? Not constituents. It's my flock, right? And they, so I still, that's something we still need to talk about, because my playbook says you may begin playing with one or more blood slaves, as they're called.
Yeah, do you have one right now, you think?
Yeah, because and this has to do with I also get to distribute a number of blood to them, and it's separate from like the other beginning of night stuff, and that is my humanity +2.
Yeah, I get to use that blood, and if they don't have any, they get crazy.
Yes, but I also like this whole playbook is about collecting more of them and filling them up, basically, until I have enough to do some evil dark ritual. That's the idea. The way he presents us, like I said, like as the father of the abbey, and it's like a small little thing that's dedicated to Saint Martin, so patron of the poor. So we take in those people who are like have nowhere else to go anymore, which is perfect because no one's going to be missing them if we need them for like food, and if they prove strong enough and suitable enough, then they're also really good vessels for keeping blood in, basically. Yeah.
Cool. That's a short introduction there. So what we're gonna do next is that we're gonna establish some things about vampires in this world. This is called in the game lore moves, and basically it is. I mean, we, of course, as players, know a lot of things that is said about vampires, and this establishing the lore is basically going through some of that stuff and choosing which of them are true or not. So the first one here is the lore move create. When a human dies with the blood in their veins, they become a new predator. And then choose all that apply. Are bound to your will by the blood. Awaken a starving, bloodthirsty fiend. And/or are angry, confused, and emotionally frail. They need your guiding hand. And there's also, I guess I can take the rest of the text there too. When you create a predator, you are their maker and they are your chosen. The chosen must always show respect for their maker. Between a maker and chosen, the maker is always higher in the pecking order. And the pecking order basically points to something in this game that's very important. The second thing, if you say that humanity is maybe the first important thing, and then the second thing is status in the hierarchy of the vampires, basically. A higher status grants you more access to better hunting grounds. It positions you to survive, which is what these vampires also are fighting for, in addition to not becoming mindless monsters. And pecking order is basically if someone has leverage or is higher in the status than you, they are above you in the pecking order. And if you are someone's chosen and they are your maker, then you are, unless you have a higher status than them, which you could do over time, none of you will have that over your maker right now. They are higher in the pecking order. So is there any of those options that you think are interesting or less interesting? So are bound to your will by the blood, awaken a starving, bloodthirsty fiend, and/or are angry, confused, and emotionally frail. They need your guiding hand.
I like the idea of needing your guiding hand. I like the idea of them having to have sort of a mentor-mentee relationship in the beginning, but then that petering off eventually. But I like that as a sort of a as at least a beginning status type of thing. But that's just me.
Yes, mother.
I had to guide my son.
Agreed. No, I like that. That really enforcing some of the more social binding ties we have.
Because it also, to me, it's interesting of like, what does this one maker teach their, well, you know, their chosen versus what does this other maker teach their chosen? It can be vastly different. I like that idea.
Yeah, and also something I thought about as MC here is that in this community you need permission to create another vampire.
Ooh,
so
I
it's
like.
It's an actual responsibility, both because it's you're waking up angry and confused and emotionally frail. You don't want the vampire society to be in the public.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important of that reason, but also because there's a limited amount of people to feed on.
I like that. And maybe it's like frowned upon, or it's like punishable if you do it without permission or something like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. It probably has happened. There's yeah, definitely.
That's why there's a law, because it has happened.
Yep. Do you like any of the other ones as well, or is it this? Do we think this is the only one that we want to check off?
I'm fine with any of the other ones. That one really stuck out to me, but I am fine with any of the other ones.
I like keeping it pretty straightforward like that.
Yeah.
And making it like a big deal in that way.
Yeah. You okay with that too, Velvet?
Yep.
Cool. So the next one is the Lord of Destroy. When you obliterate a predator's body, or when you choose at least one, you destroy the predator. There's options: sever their head and stuff them mouth full of garlic, There is put torch to their body, consuming it with purifying fire. There's bathe their body in the sun's holy rays, and or drive a wooden stake through their undead heart. Which of these do we think is true?
I just really hate the stuff the mouthful of garlic one. I hate that one so much.
You do? Okay. So it's just the garlic, not the severing.
Severing the head is fine. I just really hate the stuff the mouthful of garlic part.
Yeah, it's the breath, right? We all hate it.
It just seems so over the top. Like, once the head is off, shouldn't that be enough? You don't need to stuff the mouthful of garlic. It's fine. Just let it go.
I mean, also the question is, what is purifying fire? Does it mean there's like non-purifying fire?
I think like the trope is just fire. General.
Fire purifies, yeah. I
What I'm trying to get at is kind of like the second part of those things seems more like fluff.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That is also true. You probably don't need the garlic. It's just.
I'm honestly cool with any of them. I like the sort of, classic ways that vampires can be destroyed. That's not a big deal for me. Unless we wanted them to be like specifically immune to one of those, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, what I'll say is like what's interesting here is that people probably believe all these things about vampires. So
we'll still get all stuff.
Yeah, but it's just like, it doesn't. Oh, it's garlic.
I just particularly
These
hate
fools.
garlic. What if we could go the route that the sun doesn't harm us, or
It's
it doesn't.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, like it isn't something that destroys our body, and then the other ones could be ones that are still true. Because I think that's very interesting to be in. Isn't San Martina a beach town?
Yep.
We had sunbathing vampires. I'm very here for that.
Yeah. You can definitely have sunbathing vampires. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very here for that. If the rest of the group is, and then it's the sun actually doesn't hurt us as vampires.
Yeah, works for me.
So we'd go with 1, 2, and 4 with asterisk. No, the garlic stuff.
Just garlic's over the top. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Cool. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, that was not the sun rays. And then I'm gonna put a nice line through full of garlic here. Good. The next one is the Lorm of Decay. When a predator is destroyed, its body, and then you choose one, disintegrates, leaving only a chalky film of ash, congeals into a pool of blood and viscera, or desiccates into a mummified corpse.
I'm genuinely cool with any of those.
Yeah.
If anyone has a strong pull toward one of them.
The nice thing about one is that, like, you never, like, if you combine one with, there's also like blood curdling scream that goes along with it, and always a gust of wind will never end up with any evidence of vampires.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So we can do a chalky film of ash.
That's always a good option. Awesome. The next one is the lore move Eat. So when you mimic your prey by eating their food and drink, you gain no sustenance at all, and it tastes like choose either both or neither. Either both or neither. Okay. So bitter ashes of wormwood and lye, styrofoam packing peanuts and rots in your guts.
I sort of like the idea of neither, that it doesn't give them anything, that it's like a numb, that they get nothing at all from it, like that it's not a punishment, like I don't know, I'm just trying to explain it, like it's like you get absolutely nothing from it, that it's more of a punishment, that you don't even get a feeling of a rot in your gut, like it's like you've done nothing, like you even lose that feeling of trying to pretend that you're eating. It's just not even worth trying to mimic your prey.
Yeah, I like that. Does anyone have any other strong opinions?
I'm good with that.
Yeah. Cool. So the next lore move here is Drink. When a predator drinks blood from their prey, their sensation is pure ecstasy, and the predator gains sustenance. Drinking, choose all that apply. Preserved blood tastes like cellophane decay, but will do. Synthetic blood, well, that's not really an option right now, I guess, but maybe in the future. Synthetic blood tastes like candy, but barely curbs your hunger. Oh no. The blood of animals tastes like cat piss, and you must drink it by the gallons to have any relief from your hunger.
Yes.
I like all of those, honestly. I think all of
Yeah.
those fit.
Gotta get it fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one here is Plague. So when you drink blood from a sick prey, choose all that apply. This disease cannot kill you, but the infected blood in your veins erupts on your skin with sores and boils. When you wake up for the evening, if you can choose, spend 2 blood instead of 1 to return to your normal appearance. Okay, so you can get rid of them. If you choose not to do so, you're recognizable as infect and every day more disfigured. To return to your normal appearance and spend at once all the blood that you should have. Or you become a carrier of infection, the prey of which you are always doomed to an horrible death. Okay. The GM will make sure you know it.
This is rather topical.
Yes.
Infected prey. Yeah, that's true. Infected prey blandly satisfy your thirst. When you feed again, gain 1 blood for every 2 blood you drink from the prey.
I'm mentioning it because we're also playing with safe tools, right? So
Yeah, that's
because
definitely
it's
an option
topical.
here. We
It's
don't want to
definitely
have.
I sort of like the one that it blandly satisfies your thirst, because I don't think that it's still sort of a complication, but it's not like making a change that, like, it's not like killing you, and it's not making a noticeable cosmetic change. It's not like making you, it's something that's easily it's something that you can easily get around, because it is just, it's a 1 for 2 change if we wanted to have something that went with Plague. I think that one's the best option, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the other 2 I am personally not that interested in, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm fine with that last one. But...
Yep.
Okay, cool. So Slumber. When the sun's rays graze the earth, the weight of the predator's curse is heaviest. predators choose one, inevitably succumb to a dreamless sleep-like state, are awake during the day, though lethargic, weak, and easily overwhelmed by prey, or may will themselves ambulatory during the day by spending 1 blood per waking hour. So there's some sticks in the wheel for our beach vampires here, possibly.
Damn it.
I mean, you can be weak.
Gotta
on the beach,
wear
that's-
that block.
Yeah.
I can just sleep on the beach in my bikini. No one will ever know.
I mean, in theme with what we already established, and maybe the middle one. So are awake during the day, though lethargic, weak, and easily overwhelmed by prey. Possibly.
I sort of
Or-
like spending blood to will yourself awake.
Mm-hmm.
Because I sort of like the idea of having to force yourself, but that's also because I like making the game hard on myself. But that's I also am cool with any of them, because I'll end up complaining about it anyway. Always.
No, I'm cool. I'm always cool with having it be harder. So I am just saying thank you.
I
Is
think
everyone else?
because you'll have to like, is it worth being awake? Is that blood worth spending? Do I really need to be awake during this? I think it's something to think about.
Yeah. It creates a heavy aversion to being like. So is it 2 and 3?
It's just one of them.
It's just one. You just pick one.
Oh,
But I am
So
fine with 2 if we want to go 2.
No, I mean, I was like, yeah, that seemed like a, easier option for you. But if you want to have the hard one, I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, you can go ahead.
so I mean, the third option is like the first option, but weaker, like in the sense of you would just fall asleep in the sun. That's the first option, right?
Yeah.
And the third one is you can actually make yourself go on if you need to.
Yeah, I mean, with the other option we chose, that first one is almost a bit comedic, right? Because you just like fall asleep, and it's like nothing else happens. You just fall asleep in the street, and there's a vampire sleeping on the street.
Yeah.
So
I think
maybe...
I like willing yourself to be awake, because we do have that we can be out during when the sun's up. I think that
Right.
sort of takes advantage of us being out during the sun.
Yeah, well, I think we're going with that one then. Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Cool. So the last one here is hinder. So when a predator is confronted with choose at least one, the GM says what they must do and how much blood they must spend to overcome the hindrance. And there's more garlic, strong enough to smell or taste. There's a holy symbol brandished by one of the faithful. There's consecrated ground untarnished by evil. well, with the priest here might not be so.
I love those two, the holy symbol and consecrated ground.
Yeah. So there's entrance to a home owned by its occupant without the permission to enter, or running water such as a stream or river.
I like the idea of consecrated ground untarnished by evil because of Matthias's character, because I like the idea of Matthias's character being on consecrated ground that is tarnished by evil.
Yes.
I like that. It's just like I like that maybe there is, it sort of turns that on its head. It's like there are places here that should be that you would think they're trusted, but they're not.
I'm immediately also thinking with like 2 and 3, that's super useful to keeping my congregation in check.
Yes, for sure.
Because once you're in, you can't leave. Or you're very or it takes a lot of willpower while you're still alive and under my blood. Because the inner sanctum is basically tarnished,
Mm-hmm.
and then the outer court isn't, and maybe there's even still like an old cemetery there, that kind of stuff. And the other side is like cliffside, so where you if you really think you need to go, you can try. And of course, I have like some silly other means of getting past it. That's I don't know, the secret passage along the cliffside or whatever. Or I mean, we're vampires. Like I can just walk along a cliffside or something like that.
I really like that. I like tying that in with the fact that we have a priest and these holy places that Prey would think are safe, and ha ha ha, joke's on you. I just really like that. And I never understood I never got the running water thing with vampires anyway. And I really like the idea of those two, if that's fine with everyone else.
Yeah. Cool. So
Is it only just those two?
You have to choose at least one. So it can be more. Did you want to pick up another one?
I wanted to check. Being invited into a home is always so funny to me.
Yeah.
I like that one too, actually.
Yeah, we can pick that one up for sure.
Yeah, it's a funny you're also for our viewers. So basically, how kind of being vampire powerful in this game works is it's a move called flaunt. It's not like you always succeed doing it. You just spend the blood and tell us how your supernatural predator's abilities kind of work. In terms of prey, vampires are very powerful, and prey is not a threat unless there's more of them. So basically, having that kind of lore move with the inviting into someone's home gives some kind of funny where there's actually some power with the prey, where they can be safe somewhere, which is interesting to me. Cool. So that was our lore moves. I of course found out immediately that in the Google Docs there was not possible to draw things there, so I put them in the R map as well, so I could mark everything. And yeah, so let's see here. I think so let's introduce the situation. I think I want to before I do that, I think I want to have a scene with each of you to describe where you are and have you wake up, basically, which is a move in this game, so we can see a little bit about how the character looks and what their surroundings are like. Did you yeah, and we can also establish I have some questions about your rivals as well, so we can establish those. Cool. So let's start with you, Kate, Matilda.
Okay.
You rise from your slumber. It's at late in the evening. It is in fall, I think, early fall. It's still pretty warm. It's been a busy summer with a lot of travelers, so it's been good times in in San Martino, a lot of prey coming through, a lot of business as well for you. But there's been a threat from the north now, where the Empire is sending soldiers, and people have stopped traveling basically because the army are blocking the roads and traveling through here. Basically, it's a bit of a precarious situation because well, I mean, soldiers, although also prey rarely sleep alone, and often go in groups. So even though they are plentiful when they're traveling through, they're a bit less. It's a bit of an inconvenience compared to the regular traders and stuff like that. So I imagine probably this place is still pretty popular with the soldiers, I'm sure. What is your place like? What does it look like?
I imagine that it is a it's probably close to the beach. It's behind, it's in an alley, but a very well-traveled alley. There is a sign out front, very unassuming. It just has a I think it has a picture, a drawing of a deer's head, and that's the sort of the sigil that she uses for the sign that where her den is. And it's 2 stories, and she sleeps above it. And the rooms that she takes to herself are very very sparsely decorated. She doesn't care for how her own personal space looks. She sleeps in the only thing she really cares for is the bed that she sleeps in. It's very it's very fitted with comfortable linens and sheets and anything like the top of comfort. That's what she cares about. That's the only thing that she splurges on, is the bed that she sleeps in. And when she wakes, I think she wakes in a very like lazy sort of style. Like, she is very slow about it, stretching out all of her limbs and slowly moving and getting her wits about her. And she just slowly goes about looking around the room and taking stock of everything and making sure that everything is in its place, even though she doesn't have many things there. I think she has like maybe a bureau that holds her clothes, and a vanity that holds like her a brush and a little bits of makeup, things like that she uses to dress herself up. But just from her place in the bed, she just looks over everything to make sure that nothing's been taken while she slept. But it's a very slow process for Mathilde to wake up.
Cool. So, to the move here. So, wake. When you wake up for the evening, time weighs heavily on you and your hunger is sharpened. Spend 1 blood. If you wake with fewer than 3 blood, you are starving when you awaken. If you have 0 blood when the sun sets, you cannot wake and remain in death-like repose until, by some providence, you consume at least 1 blood. So you have, I think it's 7 blood plus your humanity.
Okay.
You start with, so you spend 1 of those.
So I have 9 humanity because I'm callous, so I have 2, right? Right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, I spend... Okay, cool. So I have 8 blood.
Cool. So, in another part of town, not so far away actually. Like where Matilda's drug den is on, like right behind the beachfront, basically. Yours, and you can imagine like this the beach, and there's like a just like a couple of blocks, and then there's pretty much like the central square and the cathedral, and behind the cathedral, yeah, Dorian awakes. What does it look like where you wake up?
I think Dorian very much has almost like that bachelor pad. I don't think it's like a full blown mansion, but I say it's like a small chateau. Like it's definitely like a fancy little house. Dorian is also slow to rise, but he's not excuse me, they're not as methodical as Matilda might be. I think they just kind of get up, throw on whatever is available and most clean, and just kind of freshen up a bit.
Yeah, so when you wake as well, your hunger is sharpened, so you spend 1 blood. Cool. And a bit further away up the hills, Father Ambrogio wakes up. What does it look like around you?
It's dark, and I think there's a couple of lanterns and that are lit by a small group of people in like an antechamber, and one person that enters the actual crypt, and there's like this massive basalt sarcophagus, and this person kneels in front of it, putting down like their small lantern, and I don't think we get to see it. We just get to hear the stone on stone as the way too heavy lid of the sarcophagus lifts, and Father Ambrogio rises with like arms folded.
Awesome. So you also feel peckish. You can spend 1 blood.
How much blood do we start with?
You start with 7 plus your humanity. So what's your humanity like?
Humane.
Humane. So you start with 10 then.
I love that the devil character is humane.
Oh
Love it.
yeah, no, it's the
Yeah.
it's on,
Or the
devil
nightmare,
is-
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean devil, nightmare.
How do I keep this?
Same difference. We're all monsters here.
Yeah, so actually that's a good question. So for our viewers as well, for our players, they can't find a place where they can put the blood in their character sheet, and that is because blood is what you bargain with in Undying. So it is important for the player to always keep hidden how much blood they have. So basically, in this game, it's a not GMless, but the diceless game. And you use blood in a poker-like way to win both fights and like when you will try to meddle with things. So you always want to have as much blood as possible, and not at least hide if you don't have a lot.
Yeah. So obvious dangers if I hide it with Skittles. How many I have, I might just lose them on the fly.
Yeah, that's true. If you consume them, they're gone. Cool, and I think we were at the hour now, so we could like go to a break, and then we'll be back with going right into the action of the situation that's going on in San Martino.
Yeah, everyone. We were going to take a 5-10 minute break, grab a drink, stretch our legs, and we will be back. Everyone, get a drinky and a snacky, and we will see you in 5-10 minutes. And we're back from break, everyone. I'm just gonna throw it back over to Mikhail.
Yeah, as we come back, the camera like pans down on the city square. It's night, and it's quite almost. It's pretty empty here, like in front of the cathedral. There is a building that's on the other side of the square that is like a theater of sorts, where they do like plays. And that's where the princeps of San Martino holds court, Claudia. And you're all gathered there because to discuss whatever is on the. This is where you gather to like discuss whatever's on the vampire politics agenda at this moment. And right now, that is that. This influx of soldiers has made the population stay inside at night pretty much because of the soldiers' rambunctious behavior in the streets, which is fine for the people who lives where the soldiers gather, but not for everyone else. So basically, for those of you who have less than 2 in supply, which is meager, all of you, I guess. There is little to eat at this moment in time, and that's true also for more vampires than you. But of course, the ones who are situated on the top doesn't have any problems with that because they have the access to the best hunting grounds, basically. So you're in this. It's like a pretty. It's like a reception hall almost. It is full of like painted tapestries on the side. There is sometimes there's like chairs sitting around in like a half circle. Which sometimes is used for introducing like new vampires to the flock, so to speak. Well, I guess I shouldn't use flock since we have a priest. But right now, I think people are just like you just like arrive. I think probably let's say you arrive first, Matilda. There is most of the vampires has arrived this year. You see your rival. Let's see here. I just have to Veronica, the Odoker, standing talking with Des, who overdept Des Ambrose. Veronica is quite young. I guess much like you, looks but dresses in a way that makes her look older. Is also quite tall. This is wearing quite neutral, like black clothes. There's often, I think, some might joke about that they might try to like blend in a bit too much in the night. But I don't think they scared too much about that. They both have hunting grounds that are close, like to the city center, and is probably doing pretty well even in these times. But why? How did you make Veronica look incompetent in front of Claudia, the princeps, basically the leader vampire of the city? How did you play her?
Hmm. I think Veronica came to me once for. Veronica came to me once needing blood, needing prey, and was desperate for it in order to impress the princeps. And I saw a chance to embarrass Veronica, and knowing that Veronica was so desperate, I gave her plagued prey, and Veronica didn't do her due diligence. And when Veronica presented this blood to the princeps, it was tainted blood. And I of course played the fool and was just like, well, of course you should have. This was your responsibility. I had no way of knowing.
Yeah, so at this moment when you come in, I think Veronica probably like stares daggers at you while Claudia like smiles and like comes towards you. So Dorian, you arrive. There is I guess you see the same thing here too. You see also, I think you come. Do you come alone or do you come together with your maker possibly?
I probably show up alone. Could be that my maker shows up later, but Dorian tends to just wander as they please.
Cool. So I think like as you come in, like in the doorway, you bump into Dorothea Troy, a fellow plebeian, who's your rival. So what secret do you have on Dorothea that makes her hate you so?
What is Dorothea's vibe? Like, what does she do?
I think that she's a plebeian too, so I think she is basically living in I don't know. I think she's pretty new to the society here. I imagine her being someone who came into town because they were running away from something. Also, Matilda helped her with some debts to run away from them. And I think they were already undead, so they don't really have any attachment to people here. They probably are running from their past. So I don't think basically what you established now could be like the thing that you know about the past that no one else does.
I'd say maybe even if I don't know the debtors directly, I know that they're still looking, and if I see her, rising to prominence a little too quickly, I might drop that. She'd be a liability to do business with in case those debtors came knocking.
Yeah, and I think like as you go meet, your gazes meet, she like nods, and like Dorian, good to see you.
Dorothea, how goes it?
Well, spends the evenings hungry, but you know how it is.
Right, lots of moving bodies out there.
Well, moving with swords, not exactly my type. I like gentler souls. And I think, like, lastly, you arrive, Father Ambrogio. You're a little bit late, I think, coming all the way from the hillside. Like, at least this is, down to the city, not up. But it's still like a little bit of a walk. And I think like probably the most of the predators are there at this moment. And I think like as you come in, like most faces like turn to you, like as they've been waiting. Among others, Suleka, who is your rival. So, Father, so how does your influence with the church threaten Suleka? And for context, Suleka is pretty much, I think, she's living in the cathedral, basically.
I think it's a weird game of it's kind of you know how we have statuses among vampires, right? That's one thing. But you can also flaunt the much less meaningful status among the prey, actually. And I'm kind of a thorn in Zulika's side because I think she does actually deal with whoever the regent's bishop is, like in like high church politics. And the problem is there's like this little abbey that still does some very follows some very original Christian mindset, and is not obviously not completely on board with the what Rome currently says and how things should be. And Zulika has gotten the task of basically get your own backyard straightened out. But her own backyard is like me using this as a cover. And she hasn't been able to get rid of me because I've got some dirt on her via Dorian, which currently puts me out of reach in the sense of like, if she strikes me, these things will come out that she doesn't want, and like the damage would be worse than what she would gain, basically.
Cool. So, Matilda, Claudia comes over to you and greets you, and like smiles and says like, "Oh, I trust your business is running swimmingly in these busy times."
Matilda gives her a deep nod of acknowledgement, probably very pseudo respectful, because I don't think Matilda really respects anyone except herself. But she she wants to keep up appearances. And she says, well, as good as it can be, people need their own forms of escape in times like today, and humans tend to search any sort of escape they can find, and it just seems that I offer them one that's easy to chase.
She nods and says, "Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna ask another question. So, you at some point not too far in the past had some suspicious prey on your tail. Why was that?"
I think it was people very like people who were against the business that Matilda ran. It was like, and people who thought it was like sinful, that sort of people wanted to shut her business down, and that's what Des disposed of them. That's why it's such a big debt, because they were probably very hypocritical people. Like, they had their own skeletons in their closet, and that's why it was such a big deal that Des got rid of them for Matilda. that's why it ended up being such a big thing, because they were probably like well known people in the church, probably not this specific church in San Martino, but probably like, you know, those big names that were against sin and sinful things. And of course Matilda runs a very sinful business.
Yes, indeed, Mother, you do.
Awesome. So I think she just like nods and says, "Well, that's good. I also hear you got rid of your problem with too much attention. I'm sure they forget also now that these soldiers are around causing a ruckus, making the prey stay inside."
Well, they find their ways. When they want things, they're able to get out.
She nods. That is true. They do.
And the soldiers themselves, they're always around. My business has had a uptick in new patrons here lately.
Well, you must be in luck, given the lack of prey in other places.
I get by.
I think she just like smiles and says, "Oh, good. I should greet the new guests. Pleasure as always, Matilda."
Of course.
Yeah, and I think I think probably your maker has arrived, Dorian. Probably like I think he is an expert in arriving second to last. It's like it's a skill for him. I imagine in his past life, which is probably quite a long time ago, he must have been some politicians of sorts. That's what the rumors are anyway. Have you ever asked him?
No, I don't think I have.
Yeah, but when you see him now, you see he can conduct himself almost in like a regal way. He must have had power, or maybe it's just like the decades since then. But you know, those things are not usually changed when you're undead. If you were a hunchback in life, you're probably a hunchback as undead as well. And I think he comes in like he has been probably also you know, going the round. He's very good at like doing the social game, and like comes to you at last, and you know, because of course that this is not a slight of any means. It's just that this is where he's going to stop and say more than hi, oh, how nice to meet you. And I think he like stops at you and says, so dear child, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm staying busy. You've made quite an entrance as always.
You know, there is so much going on here today. It's important to appear in the right way. Who knows? Maybe there's new hunting grounds at play. I think powers are shifting. I can feel it in the air.
Well, we just got a large influx of soldiers. I'm waiting for the tinkers, tailors, and sailors to show up.
Yeah, and I think he like smiles and says, "Oh yes, I mean, I'm sure that's what everyone here is here for. It's just that nobody wants to say it, well, at least to anyone that matters."
I just give him a knowing look and a smile.
And I think he like looks like gives you he pauses a little bit and like looks towards like the room and says, so who do you think will get the best result out of the situation? Well, except you, Dorian, because that's what I expect.
I think they'll lean into whatever seems most stable, probably whoever will suffer the least due to the occupation, whoever will have access to the soldiers.
Yeah, and I think that could be like any of the patricians, maybe Veronica, because I think probably that would be in your opinion, Veronica, because she doesn't owe any debts as far as you know, and you know about things like that. And I think he like chuckles a little bit and says, "Ah, yes, but you have to look at who's hungry, not who is best positioned. Who will
That's fair.
claw their way up."
Well, everyone's hungry. I guess it'll just come down to who's got sharper claws and teeth.
He like smiles and says, well, that's gonna be you, Dorian. I'm sure of it. And like gives you like a grin.
Yeah, definitely grin back, show my teeth.
Cool. As you come into the room, Father, where do you go? Which, like, there's a couple of like groupings around. Like, who do you approach?
Oh, I mean, it's just polite to greet your maker. So I think that's definitely a visit out of not necessarily seeking conversation as such, right? Just how to orient myself among in this group of people that have like kind of divvied up and I think as I pass Matilda, I pause and incline my head, and I think I do give like a low mother, and see who else is like around of like equal or higher to her status. Who was she talking to right now?
Claudia, who just left, who's the
Claudia.
princeps. Princeps
Yeah.
is the.
I wouldn't have interrupted. Maybe I've been waiting for that conversation to end and like a little bit of a polite distance before actually making myself known to you, Matilda.
I think that when Matilda sees you, she gives you the same sort of nod of acknowledgement, though not as a deep of nod as she gave to Claudia. And she takes a step closer and says, "How are you this evening, Ambrosio?"
I do hope for some kind of resolution, some way to change. I've sheep going hungry. I need to watch out for them.
There comes a time when you have to stop hoping and you have to start finding the solution yourself.
Yes. I know, Mother.
Well, the only hope I have is that you find that solution soon.
I'm sure of it.
I think she raises an eyebrow and
How's your business?
well, I can't exactly say it's thriving, but it's doing well. Well as one can hope in a time like this.
Yeah. People going missing would be bad for business, right? At least
Well,
inside the establishment.
as long as the right people continue to go missing, the people who will not be missed will have no worries.
And we can work together on one or two of these.
I assume that we always work together. I would never keep you out of any of my affairs. It's why I made you.
Then I must tell you later about this pair of siblings that I met the other day.
I look forward to it.
They just lost their mother. And if they lost their father too, they wouldn't know where to go. I think he has many debts. Maybe you know of him, or maybe someone who would be a good client.
See what I can do.
Cool. So, I have made a move that would be good to trigger right now, once we introduced our characters. So basically, this is in like the continuation of your wake move here, but so you emerge from your sanctum. The roadsides are barren and the people are locked up inside. And let's see, I'm gonna put this in the chat here. That's not the best here. So basically, choose 2 options below or spend the blood 1 for 1 to avoid choosing. Only the options you choose are true. Your hunting grounds are being poached by other predators. Reduce its abundance tag by 1. Your hunting grounds are given up to paranoia or superstition. Reduce its awareness tag by 1. Or your hunting grounds are in the midst of has been affected by the soldiers coming, and they have nobody dares to walk outside. Reduce its abundance tag by 1. So basically, you can choose to spend 1 blood, 1 for 1, to make these 3 not happen. Basically,
Where are they again?
I'm gonna see. I'm just gonna try to put them in the chat here. Compromised. Let's see. Zoom chat. And this is also true for all the other predators, so that's why this is a bit of a pickle. People are starving.
Ooh.
So starting out with Matilda here. So basically, what you can do in like you can have none of these things happen, but you have to spend 3 blood basically. And then...
Yeah. I think I'm going to spend 2 and only have the awareness be reduced.
Ooh, and your awareness is already 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is actually trouble. Cool, so you can spend 2 blood and put the...
Does awareness go to vigilant?
Yes.
That's a word.
Vigilant. I'm glad it's not only me who fumbles the words.
Yeah, words are hard.
Cool. And what about Dorian?
Yeah, I don't think my move is really applying in this social setting right now.
No, so the move is like a situation move. Basically, because the soldiers are in town, it's affecting your hunting grounds.
Oh, gotcha.
So if you look at your hunting grounds, yeah, you have a meager supply of suspicious populace, but it's close. So and the move is there, so you can see in chat. So your hunting grounds are being poached by other predators, reduces abundance by 1. Your hunting grounds are given up to paranoia and superstition, reduce its awareness tag by 1. And your hunting grounds are compromised, reduce its abundance tag by 1.
Okay.
Like, I made mine vigilant, so it's going to be harder for me to be unseen hunting.
Basically.
People are more on the lookout for people disappearing or being hunted. But I still have meager pickings.
All right. The tricky thing is 1 and 3 both reduce the same thing, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's hard to reduce the centrality, right? The soldiers moves the cathedral. Got any ideas what how much blood you want to choose? So basically you can make 1 disappear for 1 blood. Up to 3 blood where all of those doesn't happen.
I'm not sure.
I have an idea.
Yeah. I'll go first. You can.
Who would? Yeah. Who do you think would? Right, the hunting grounds are being poached by other predators. So that sounds like I might have had a run-in with someone else that's here tonight as well.
I think if that is someone, that is Dorothea, I think. Who Dorian just spoke to.
Yeah. And I think there's this, like after my conversation with Matilda, and there's this situation where we kind of walk past each other, and like, you know, when that happens and like time slows and it's like gazes meet, and there's like flashes of like a nightly confrontation. We don't get any details, and she narrows her eyes, and Ivan, and this is a thing I think Ambrogio does, and it's a way to taunt another vampire, and it's basically right me throwing up an almost priesterly blessing, but in the last moment basically perverting the gesture, but it's enough to make her hiss at me. So I did definitely spend a blood to prevent her from poaching on my hunting grounds.
Awesome.
I don't know. I think I'm going to spend 3 total.
Ooh.
Cool.
So I can have some Skittles.
Yeah. You can have the Skittles. That's a good thing about having snack tokens, I guess. Just like, I'll spend that blood. You got the. You decided, Velvet?
So I might go very ham, and could I, instead of trying to track down one of the usual prey, could I take a soldier?
That's so. What we'll do after this is that this, of course, affects your ability to do the feeding moves and stuff. So yes, you could do that. And when we do those moves, when you hunt, that's something that will happen then. So, but basically, so if you choose to have your options be barren, you can still hunt. It just means that it will be, if you look at the move here, so when you hunt, when you stalk your prey and track down a corner a victim, the GM describes them and how they try to escape. You may choose a number of options up to your status. Only the options chosen are true. If you hunt on your proving grounds, you may choose an additional option. So you may choose one additional option for every one blood you spend. So I'm basically just gonna describe them as being a soldier. That doesn't matter that much, really, but it matters depending on what options you choose. So if people discover it, then it's the the soldiers or whatever, like as a unit who where there might happen things where I might do a GM thing, saying that some soldiers come to your home or whatever. Like that's what's gonna happen basically.
Okay.
So do you want to keep the suspicion, use your blood to avoid the suspicion then, and just have one of the abundance ones go down?
Yeah, I think I'll go for that.
Cool. Okay, so you can spend 2 blood then. Okay, so now in this situation, like you basically the situation is the same here, but you might have other agendas, right? You are here because you're actually starving. So if you want to do something, there is definitely like possibilities to do that as well. So basically, how that would work in this game is there's something called debts. This is also for our viewers. Debts are very significant in terms of it being leverage that someone else has over you, and they can make you do things mechanically by or have you lose status if you don't do it. If you have that. So you can always ask for something, like if you want to have someone provide for you, you can engage the bargain move, for example, and they can ask something of you, basically. That's probably like the move here that is most relevant in this exact situation. And like the bargain move is when you bargain with a predator, describe the goods or services that you desire from them. They may refuse. If they refuse and you're higher in the pecking order than them, they become a pariah. So if they accept your bargain, they may demand a new debt from you or demand that you forgive a debt that they currently owe you, basically. So you can resolve this also like that if you wanted to. For example, have someone give you a blood bag or whatever in the form of a person, because we don't have blood bags in year 1000. But that's something that could be done, just to kind of also give you some mechanical options in this situation about what to do with it. Cool. So if we cut back to like the situation we're still in the theater. There is I think at this moment you see I think actually So basically, the people who are doing the worst in these situations are you three, Dorothea, who stopped from encroaching on your hunting ground, Father Ambrogio, and Lucrezia, who also has a hunting ground that's a bit like along the road. I think the city gates or something, where nobody goes out because the soldiers have a camp outside the city, basically. The patricians mostly are okay. You, of course, all have uh, makers and stuff that you could ask for things if you wanted to. Is there anyone who wants to act on something in this situation? No?
Not particularly, no.
Okay, cool. So that's interesting. So what we're seeing here basically is like, I think we see at the end of like the gathering or whatever, and Claudia is like standing up, probably like on there's some kind of like a little higher area that's in like in front of the like the ring of chairs that's in the room, and just like says, "Oh, and I have been walking around among you, and I am so pleased to hear that nobody has any problems with finding prey. I am of course very relieved that that this that you all are very well prepared for having shortages in prey in situations like these. We will be gathering again in next week in the same place and discuss if we have if the situation has changed. But in meanwhile, I bid you a fair night and good hunting.
I think
Like
the
an-
whole time Matilda's been like eyes darting to everyone in the room, trying to gauge their reaction to what Claudia said, because clearly everyone is biting their tongue and trying not to draw attention to the fact that they might be a little worried about the shortages, but everyone just doesn't want to speak up about it and be the one that's like, oh, we're fucked right now. I mean, Matilda's the same way. She doesn't want to be the one that's like, we're fucked. But she's just like trying to gauge the room and see, like, is anyone particularly worried about, you know, Claudia is a princeps, so they're fine. But the plebeians all are, you know, she's trying to gauge the room and see if anyone is particularly worried or angered by what Claudia is saying. But she's standing there just like cool as a cucumber, arms crossed, just trying to look around at her fellow plebeians.
I mean,
that's what she's doing.
I don't know what the others did, right? But us three, we put some blood in to kind of weather the hardship right now, kind of indicating that we're like, yeah, well, we won't be the first to budge.
Yeah.
So I think this actually makes a lot of sense. It's not that there's nothing happening; it's that everyone is like trying to steal themselves and
See who like bows over first, like
Yeah.
who gives in first.
Yeah, so I think I mean I think like you, Matilda, you're pretty good at this, right? To kind of assess people like this. So I think with like the other plebeians like Dorothea and Lucretia mainly, you definitely like sense that there is both of them. I think that there is some very I think especially Dorothea, because she's been trying, right, and being stumped.
And you said
by,
she's relatively new, right? Like she's a newer vampire too.
Yeah, she's the one who came from outside on the run from the debitors that you.
Yeah.
I think probably like stayed with you for the first while.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what you also notice is that the patricians, like Des Ambrose, Suleka, your makers basically, I guess here, Mephistopheles and Veronica, they're also a little bit worried because nobody really said anything. I think you don't know what they expected, but I think, you know, in this situation, it's easy to think that they have hunting grounds that are less affected by this, and what's going to happen when the people are starving? They're going to go encroaching on their hunting grounds, and I think they expected to have get something out from this, basically. Have someone ask for
Yeah.
help and get
Yeah,
something.
that one of the plebeians makes the first move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think probably like there's, which we also kind of like I know saw in the scenes with the patricians and their children basically. So I think that's probably like seen. So I'm assuming here probably the next scene is going to be like you go hunting for dinner basically. Am I assuming that right? To spending that blood.
I mean, we paid for it, right? So that we still had a meager hunting ground at least. I
Yeah.
don't know. Do you all have meager? I have meager.
I have meager. I just have eyes on me.
Yeah, Dorian, you even have a Baron now. Since you didn't pay for the lost abundance there.
Yeah.
So basically, I guess I'm gonna ask Matilda, where do you go hunt?
I think so Matilda, first off, I think before she hunts, Matilda has a, if this is okay with you, Mikkel, I think she has like a little underground what's the word I'm looking for? It totally left my brain. Underground network. I don't know why I couldn't remember that word. Network of like little street urchin kids that deliver messages for her. And I think she sends a message to Des that she wants to meet with them. That she has a proposition for them. And then she decides to go hunt, and she's going to stay on her hunting grounds. And I think she is going to follow out a very probably a woman who is like very drugged up from the den, and is going to act as if she is escorting her home.
Cool. So when you stalk your prey, you track down the corner a victim. So I think basically here the people who are staying at your place, they are like hardcore. The people who are like there a lot, like your regulars, basically.
Yeah, I don't think this is the first time that she's fed on this patron.
And I think like your problem here is that they are not the kind of person to leave, basically.
Yeah.
So if you look at the options there, you see that you stalk your victim quickly. It's not an option you can take because it's only available on hunting grounds that are scarce or barren.
Yeah.
So basically you're like left with this then, right? So you may choose a number of options up to your status. Only the options chosen are true. So if you hunt on your own hunting grounds, you may choose an additional options. Yeah, and you may then choose one additional option for every one blood you spend on this move.
Okay.
Basically.
So I would get 2 automatically, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to pick stifling the screams to avoid spooking them, and gently subduing my victim. I don't care if fellow predators see me.
Okay. Cool. So I think like it probably like takes a while before like your what's this person's this is a regular, right? So you probably know that person's name.
Yeah, I think their name is let me find a name. I think their name is Ava.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that I think probably like it takes a while before like the other like patron like leaves. So you've been staying around, and you've been like smoking there. Like I mean, when you smoke opium, you get pretty docile afterwards. And but these are like people who've been staying here for a long while, right? So they are a bit tolerant, and I think it's like one of these things where you're like, if you ever worked in a bar or something like that, and you're just like waiting for the last two guests to leave, and they're like been staying there for like 3 hours, and it's just you can't close before they leave or whatever. Like that kind of frustrating feeling. And but eventually that other person leaves, and Eva like sits there with her uh, uh, like how does it look in here? Is it like pillows and stuff?
Yeah, I think that it's it's of course very, very foggy and hazy in here. Um, there are sheets that are put up against over the walls, over the windows, so it's always dark even during the day. And there are pillows and lounges, and there are sheets that are hung up that create little private rooms, sort of, and there's always like a little low murmur of chatter. But when you get, I mean, if you get so high that you don't really hear it, you sort of tune it out. But yeah, I think it's a very comfortable, like Matilda's whole thing. I mean, is you saw it when she woke up. She's all about that sort of comforting type of facade.
Yeah, and I think you see her like almost nap off in like this like in this corner, her corner probably. And yeah, you can feed. So that's another move here. So when you sink your fangs in and feed from your prey, take blood from them. You are intuitively aware of the psychological impact to your victim each drop you take. Take 1 or 2 blood, leave them tipsy. Take 3 blood, leave them ill. Take 4 blood, leaves them in a desperate need of medical attention. Or take 5 blood, kills them. You may choose a number of options up to your humanity +1.
So my humanity is callous, so that's 2, so 3, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I think she like pulls Ava close to her and just like pushes her hair aside and is just like, "Oh, Ava, you've had so much today. Let me make it easy on you." And she sinks her fangs into her neck. And I think I'm going to do stop feeding when I want to. And I'm going to take 3 blood. I'm going to leave her ill. Trying to think of how much that would get me back up to. Yeah, I think I'm going to take 3 blood, leave her ill. I am going to resist the temptation to terrorize my prey and hunt and hurt them for sport or pleasure. And manipulate my prey's memories so they don't remember me in their nightmares. I don't care if she sees the wounds on her body, because she's high. I don't care what she thinks it is. Matilda doesn't really have that much humanity. She doesn't really care about humans. So I think those are going to be my 3.
Well, so I think you take the blood, and I think like you hear her murmur, just like, oh, why do I keep coming here? And I think like she almost like opens her eyes and like looks at you for like a second, and like with a stare like of terror. And I think you know that she is not really here, but it's still a little bit like unnerving, right? Maybe even for you. Yeah, and I think that's scene, and that's probably like a good time for another break.
Yeah, we'll take a 5 to 10 minute break. We will be back and we will see how our other predators feed on their prey. yeah, we'll be right back, everyone. And we're back from break for our last hour. Mikhail, back to you.
Yeah. We have just seen our first peek into proper monstrousness of our vampires here. So now that Matilda's taking the lead, let's go to Dorian. What do you do to get fed? Where do you hunt?
I think since my my feeding grounds are still pretty barren, I imagine I probably have to go to like the outskirts of town. But the good thing about that is there are probably a couple of lone sentries or patrols walking around. So I think if I can, spot a lone soldier, I might just jump him.
Cool. So so you're going to somewhere where that's not central, right? To try to avoid to. Okay. I'm thinking then probably this is whose hunting grounds is this? It might be Father Ambrogio, or it might be Lucretia, or Dorothea. Actually, could also be. Is there anyone who you would like to avoid?
Well, I mean, Dorothea and I already got beef, so I think I'll happily take from her stock.
So it's on. Yeah, that's also kind of perfect here because it's by the city gate, right? So here, it's pretty likely to run into some soldier because they have they have their camp outside the city walls. Let's get to the move here. When you stalk your prey, you track down a corner a victim. I think I described them. So I think this is basically like a group of soldiers going back from town. Probably had some wine somewhere, and there's also like a straggler basically, like behind the group. Probably had a little bit much to drink. You may choose a number of options up to your status. So that's one. Only the options are chosen are true. If you hunt on your own hunting grounds, which you didn't, you may choose an additional option. So you may choose one additional option for every one blood you spend on this move. So I think also here I don't think, if you want to, you can stalk your victim quickly here, actually, if you want to. I don't think this is technically more than scarce, but just because of the place you're doing it in front of like the like on the main road, I think also because it's on someone else's ground, I would open that option up for you if you want to do it.
Yeah.
But also then there's the other ones. You stifle your victim's screams and to avoid spooking the prey, you gently subdue your victim. You deftly lead away the prying eyes of your fellow predators. So you have one option that you have from the start, and you can use blood 1 for 1 to choose the other ones as well.
I think I'll spend 1 blood to stalk them quickly and stifle their screams.
Yeah, cool. So those are the 2 options you go with. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I think so. Describe to me how you like try to. You are pretty quick about this, right? So you're not really, even though you do probably take them by surprise because you stifle their screams. But describe to me how you do it.
I think just by virtue of being a shady character, I'm probably pretty familiar with the various alleys. And I'm guessing the soldier is probably just, straggling behind the main group on like, kind of like a main street. So I think I'm going to try to head them off using the alleys. And once they pass by the mouth, I'll just drag them in.
Yeah, and I think you with your strength, you easily do it. Like even if it's this is a grown like a soldier, right? So it's not like it's someone who's weak or anything, but you're much stronger, and you just like grab them by their like arm or whatever, and just like they're immediately in your fangs with your hands on their throat, and I think they're like waving wildly with their arms, like clearly panicked. And we can go to the feed move here. So when you sink your fangs in and feed from your prey, you take blood from them. You need to be aware of the psychological impact of your victim by each drop you take. So you're taking 1 or 2 blood to leave them tipsy, taking 3 blood to leave them ill, and taking 4 blood to leave them in a desperate need of medical attention, or taking 5 blood, which kills them. And you may choose a number of options up to your humanity +1.
I mean, I'll drain them. Go big or go home. Soldiers desert all the time.
Yeah, so you take 5 blood. On the options on the list below, which you choose of the 2 options you have. I guess there's some of them that aren't that relevant anymore.
Yeah, that aren't really relevant anymore. I mean, that gets rid of most, I guess.
Yeah, so I guess the ones
miraculous.
that is the you manipulate your prey's memories so they don't remember you in the nightmares is probably not relevant anymore.
No.
But I would say that the rest of them are relevant.
I want to get in that quickly, so I'll avoid like torturing them.
Terrorizing the prey, yeah. So do you heal close? Do you close the wounds, or do you stop feeding when you want to? So basically, it was on purpose that you drain them.
Yeah, I would say I'm draining them on purpose.
Okay, so you close the wounds.
Yeah, so I'll close the wound and avoid lingering for too long.
Yeah, so you feel like the life leaving this this young man in your arms, and you like put them to the ground. I think they're probably like, I mean, you're a bit. You might be older because you're undead, I guess, but looks to be at the same age as you are, and I think you still. How do you close the wounds? What does that look like?
Ooh, I think it's with those tropes where like the vampiric saliva closes them.
Yeah, so put something on your fingers and just like
yeah,
and you see the wound closes, and you see like, I think the camera like the viewers of the TV show sees like the complete like white skin, right? And do you linger a little bit, or do you just leave? Business done.
Yeah. I think I'm just gonna split. I think maybe if there's nothing nearby where I can dispose the body, I might just like leave it propped up against the wall.
Yeah, and I think like as you we see like the back of Dorian as they leave, and I think you hear like a shout from like the one of the other soldiers, like, where did the Guillermo go? I don't know, he was just here. I'm sure he'll show up tomorrow, and you'll just like go in the other direction. And like the camera like pans to like the soldier like leaning against the wall, dead, and that's the scene. Cool. So father, what are you doing?
So here is what I was thinking. I think not very far from the abbey, there's this, well, it was once a well-kept house, actually, and not too small. And I think a merchant lives there, and that merchant is a so he was actually supplying the people who resisted the invasion, right? So right now he's trying to keep everything on the low down, and is very careful with going outside, and it wasn't that long ago that his wife passed away. and they had two children, twins, who are just about coming of like marriable age. So they're like 18 now. The problem is, of course, that he doesn't want to get caught by the occupation. So it's trying to keep a low profile. So I've been going there to keep up the education of those two. And I want to flaunt. So here's what I'm thinking. So flaunt is when you flaunt what your maker gave you and use supernatural predator abilities to your advantage. Spend 1 blood and say what you do. This includes superhuman strength, speed, savvy, allure, intimidation. I've also been looking at captivate, but I don't think it's quite at the point of captivating. I don't want to tell those kids something specific. What I want to do is sow discord. So so it's kind of being alluring to them, like they really like that I'm teaching them. But slowly, I will sow discord between the two. Like to her, I will say, it's very likely that your brother will step into his father's footsteps and maybe join the resistance. You need to be able to look after yourself, right? And to him, I'm going to be saying, it will be very soon that your sister will need to go and take a husband and leave you.
Okay, so let's jump into like the last one there. So you just said that, and I think this is probably while the boy is gone to get like food or whatever, because you're like in the middle of your
so I'm
teaching
talking
day,
to
whatever
her.
it is.
Yeah.
And she's like, he would never do that. And then just like, tell me, what is it like? What does your flaunt look like here? How do we see that you are indeed using your supernatural powers to convince her?
I think it's me saying, no, you love your father, and so does he, and he admires him for his strength during this difficult time. And you know it would alleviate your father's fears and you know how he takes after his ideals. And I would walk like around her sitting at her desk, right? And in like a very fatherly way, I kind of lean over her from behind her, like clasping her at the shoulders. And I say, I just want you to know, well, one, if you need to, you can always come to me and we'll find a solution. And two, I just want you to be prepared if he does take that step.
Yeah, and I think
and at this point, I'm like way too close to her ear, whispering more, and we see like her eyes glaze over.
Yeah, and I think you see like her shoulder like go down as if she's relaxed. And yeah, I think it's time to do the feeding move.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you
That's-
to use the.
Well, I want to use the flaunt to set up this thing that at some point there's discord between the two.
Okay.
Because obviously I want to play the father towards Matilda.
Mhm.
And then they just probably come running to me.
Oh,
But then
okay,
easy
cool.
pick. But that's like in the long term. I definitely see that there's like a midterm that I've already fed once on one of them or something like that.
Okay, so yeah, cool. So I think she kind of, I mean, her shoulders go down still, and I think she kind of puts her hand on like your hand as like this, like on your shoulder, and like says, I mean, if you truly mean that that's what I should do, Father, then I will.
Well, keep it in mind when the time comes, should it come. Let's pray to God that it never will.
Yeah, and she like folds her hands, and I think like starts mumbling a prayer. What do you do?
I look up and throw like this look over to the cross on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if you don't want to do anything, I think like the other twin comes back, and he like sees, and I mean you've been talking to him before, right? And I think he like you see him with this like basket of bread or like his bread loaf, I guess, like looking at her with like this trust as you are like standing over her while she's praying. Is that scene? So you want to add anything?
I think that scene, yeah, unless we want to connect a hunt after that. So in this sense, how would we use hunt, right?
Well, are you intending to feed on these twins? Is the question. Or are you still like feeding on people on the streets? I'm assuming probably like is there people coming to your church?
No, I mean it's meager, so not many.
So what usually is the case if you have a meager hunting ground is that there is like one place where you can go and find prey relatively easily, but it's just like that one place.
Yeah.
Would that be the church or somewhere else?
It would probably be the graveyard. But I don't think I'd actually want to go. I think I might keep my feet still for the time being.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, the scene goes to black there. I think, and I think what you Dorian, you basically didn't choose the option where the predator didn't see you. So I forgot to add that, but probably quite surely that you see Dorothea basically watching you leave. And like with boiling anger. And yeah,
you should be grateful. I'm helping with the soldier problem.
Yeah, it's true. That is true. So I think we have time for like at least one more scene before we do like go through the procedure of assessing humanity. Is there anyone who has any scene in mind that they want to do before we end today's session?
Does Des get my note?
Oh yeah, let's do that. So where did you ask to meet at at your place?
Yeah, I think I asked them to come to my place of business.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So yeah, Des. I think they come in. It's quite late at night. I imagine it must be like 2 hours before sunrise or something like that. You probably, I mean, as likes to keep. I think probably like someone who has had business. I think they usually come. They're not Mephistopheles who like always comes at the latest possible moment to save face. I think
I
that's
think I
usually,
figure that like Dez is just genuinely busy, probably.
yeah. I think this probably is, and yeah, they come. I imagine them. They have like a bronze skin, and like a very like groomed exterior. You will never find like a hair that is not in the coherent with all the rest of the hairs. Has like a very neat beard, and very like piercing eyes, and I think probably like just like walks. I imagine them being quite skinny and tall in this like black clothing, completely black. I think probably the only thing that isn't black is like 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 a locket that they have around their neck. And yeah, they come into your den. I imagine probably Eva is still like lying there, like half muttering to herself. How do you welcome them?
I think that Matilda stands up and nods her head at Dez and says, I'd like to speak to you if possible about your current patients and the ones that patronize my place of business, if possible.
I think they smile and like, well, I'm here.
I have been...
What is it that you want from me, Matilda?
I don't particularly want anything from you. I have an offer. It might interest you. I've been having more and more people show up plagued by whatever this sickness is. It might interest you in using them to whatever machinations that you might have to see what's going on. They're people that are easily missed, that no one particularly cares about. If they don't show up the next morning, no one's going to care. And if you have particularly healthy blood to trade, then I'm interested in something we could work out.
So to be clear on like I'm at level, what do you want to trade with him? Them, I mean.
She's wanting to trade the patrons that she has that are plagued with any healthy patients he might have, so he can experiment on, see if there's any way to solve this plague. She's wanting to make trades. It'd probably be it'd probably be like a 2-for-1 type of deal. More it's going to get rid of a lot of her patrons, unhealthy ones more probably, but she's wanting to try to make a deal to get more healthy people into the drug den in exchange for the plagued blood that she has.
Okay, so yeah, it's they them pronouns for this, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think they so this is the move, bargain, and I think I think they look at you and like smile and says, in principle, that would be a acceptable agreement, perhaps. But I don't see any guests here at the moment. And I think this is them, like, at least you can respond to that. I think they're probably, initially at least, refusing your offer, unless you want to give them something else as well.
Well, the sun is rising. They tend to come out when it's hot outside and they want a reprieve from the soldiers that patrol through the day. And the soldiers themselves, they're always good fodder.
Well, Matilda, if I were to supply you with healthy patrons, could I perhaps ask you of something in return?
Well, Des, I owe you a lot. I think that could be negotiated.
Well, and I think that they like smirk, and says, well, as you may know, and I hope you have noticed, the leadership of this situation sits with Claudia, and I don't particularly think she's been doing a very good job. And it would be very advantageous for all of us who are struggling with lack of fodder if this situation was taken care of someone perhaps else than her.
I could see what I could do about that situation. I think that you're not alone in your distaste for Claudia.
Well, if you could, what can I say? Drag her name through the gutter a little bit for me. That would be, I think, a reasonable price to pay for some healthy patrons you can stuff with this, and like looks over at Eva, whatever this is. And I think this is probably where Des like kind of exposes that they are actually pretty old and not really into what the young kids are doing.
Des is a boomer.
Oh.
Yeah, I think Matilda says, if you wouldn't mind me working alongside others, I think I know someone who is rather good at finding out secrets and dragging names through mud. I can do that for you, Des.
Yeah, and I think as the MC here, I think if you do this for them, you can remove their the debt you have to them, basically, also, and they will also give you. I don't think that's a big ask for them if you manage to do this.
Okay, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and I think they probably nod and smile and says, "Oh well, I look forward to not hearing about how anyone else is involved and knows nothing about how I am involved in this. That's what I look forward to."
Of course. Yeah, I think Matilda just nods deeply and gives them her own smirk and says, "And remember, if you do need anything from me, you know where to find me."
Yeah, and I think like this smiles, and there's like this kind of, I think this has like this kind of, you know, the smile that that you could imagine like a salesperson does, that when they smile at you like this, it's a good deal for them. That's the smile that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And they just like look very pleased, and there's like this kind of nods and just like, well, I have business to attend to then, finding some potential new clients for this substance that you are purveying them. And I think like looks a bit like frowns a little bit at like Eva, who's lying there still, and just like, well, I wish you a good night, and I will be hearing from you, I'm sure, or not maybe from you even, just from others, that how horrible Claudia is. And like smiles, pleased.
Yeah, I think she tells them to rest well and goes back about her business because I think she knows that Des knows how to see their way out.
Cool. And that's scene. So just before we do like the humanity stuff here, so to showcase a little bit more of these moves, possibly here, like this kind of thing, when I or one of the other players show that they're going to do some machinations. If you look at the medal move here, this is where you could set up a scene next time and do like something about that if you wanted to. Like this is not necessarily something you need to do in this situation, but it could be. So for the medal move, when you interfere with another predator and they resist your machinations, you set in motion a high stakes game where the winner takes all. So basically you can interfere, and there's going to be like a game of who manages to do this, basically. So probably even next time there's going to be some of that, because Claudia is probably going to resist you dragging her name through the dirt if you're trying to do it.
Is that something that two people can work together? Because
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because Matilda is planning on going to Dorian to work against Claudia.
Yeah. If multiple predators act together against another, they add their blood bets together as a single bet, and they place any future bets together.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Nice.
So it was just like to highlight what the possibilities are there.
Awesome.
Cool. So was there? Yeah, Matthias, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I actually have a very quick last scene, and it's this time we see the brother, and he's looking kind of worse off. I think he had a run-in with like a couple of soldiers and mouthed off to them, and they gave him a good beating. And that's when Ambrogio meets him and takes him aside and tells him, you know, they're still there who are, there's still some around who are patriotic. Why don't you go? Do we have a name for your den yet? For Matilda's business place? I don't think so, right?
No, I don't think it's named anything.
Yeah, but
it's just look for the deer is basically, because that's the only sign that's outside.
Yeah. So I tell him, go look for the deer and ask for them. And here's where I spend the blood for a captivate. So captivate works. If I don't spend anything, you have to choose one. So if I choose one, you have to spend if I spend one, you have to choose two, I think. And it's right? It's your prey does like I tell the prey what you want from them. Your prey does it eagerly. Your prey does it faithfully. Your prey exceeds your expectations. Your prey is still drawn to you. So you would have to pick two of those. Whatever you pick, meanwhile, I'll be back at the abbey waiting for the sister to come to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the prey does it faithfully, and I think your prey exceeds expectations.
We can see next time what that means, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I'm sending him right into the lines then.
Yeah, basically.
A little present for mother.
Awesome. Or not awesome. I don't know. I have to change my vocabulary for this game. It's not, and nothing is awesome. Everything's just gruesome. But yeah, that's how it goes. Cool. So the last thing we'll do for the session is that we'll go through, if you go to the downtime tab, we'll go and assess each character's humanity. So what it says here is that humanity is in constant flux, always reflecting your current attitudes. You choose your humanity when creating your character. Thereafter, your humanity will potentially change at the end of each session, when the other players will judge your humanity. At the end of the session, recap your character's defining moments for other players as a reminder. Then the other players will talk it over and put your humanity to a vote, using the definitions on the table below. I'll copy that in while you're going through your recap. And decide how your humanity changes, or if your humanity remains the same. If the vote is a tie, the GM decides. So if you go to Matilda first, what do you think was defining moments of your character's since this session?
She let Ava live, for one. I mean, I think that was a big thing. She had the chance to kill Ava, but she let Ava live. And I think making the deal to drag Claudia's name through the mud is a defining moment.
Yeah. So, players, do we think that Matilda's humanity changed this session?
She's callous, for a reminder.
So if you look at the definition of callous here, you might maintain casual relationships with the prey, but generally view the prey as pawns to be manipulated in your nightly games of chess. You show regard for property and ownership only when it suits your purpose. While you don't generally harm or kill prey, you will, when need arises, perhaps show some remorse. So I don't think it's any worse than that, at least. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I would say it stays the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So what about Dorian? What was the defining moments for Dorian this session?
I think Dorian really demonstrated their kind of duality, and they can function well enough, and they'll, kind of like the court scheming, but really kind of reveal their true nature in the evening. But also, I think their understanding of the ecosystem they inhabit, because Dorian would never be so reckless with like somebody who's actually a local, or part of their little like food chain, as it were. These soldiers are outsiders. It's not like they're going to stick around and actually make for useful pawns in the long run. They could get transferred, they could get deserted, they could die in combat.
Yeah. So just to kind of like read what the monstrous one is for our viewers as well. You detest or otherwise.
I chose Callus as well.
Yeah, so yeah, we already. I just was gonna read that one
yeah.
too, in case just to know what we're assessing, because probably it's not going to be humane. is that you detest or otherwise avoid relationships with prey. Their laws and customs are inconsequential to you. Prey are simply tools to be obtained, used, and disposed of as you see fit. You may kill when feeding, but you make a point of concealing the true nature of your crime. What do the other players think here?
It's interesting that you did the feeding, but you made a point of concealing it. So that kind of fits the nail of the monstrous one, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I think monstrous. They're because Dorian sort of treated the soldier like a tool and disposed of the soldier. Yeah, I think Dorian went to monstrous.
Also gives you the opportunity to just feed on the next soldier just the same manner.
Yeah,
'Cause
get
you have
that
a
blood.
max blood desire.
Yeah. So mechanically, what that means, so if you can put your humanity to monsters, what that means mechanically is that you get some fewer options on the feeding thing. You now only get choose one of those, I believe, and then also you get to increase your max blood to 15. So there's also advantage to this. So in a conflict here, Dorian would have an advantage over our callous and humane friends who has access to less blood, basically, possibly. Cool. And then lastly, we have our Father Ambrogio. What was the most defining moment of your session for him?
I think the relationship to his maker, but then definitely the I don't know if bond is quite the right word, but like this very manipulative getting a handle on these two pretty young adults, and basically setting them up to fail.
Yeah, so to just read the last one as well here, because Father Ambrogio is actually humane. So here it says, was at least, you need and cultivate meaningful relationships with prey. You show compassion and you make a concerted effort to avoid causing harm to prey and breaking their laws.
Yeah, I mean, you played them like pawns. Man, you gotta go to Callus. That's my opinion.
I would agree.
You didn't harm or kill them, but and I think Ambrosio has some remorse, but it was very manipulative and like game of chess type of thing. I say Callus.
All right.
Yeah, I think
You're just making it so I have to fall in love with this girl next time. That's going to be way more horrible than
Yep. You're taking after your mother.
That's the best thing, by the way, if I look at your picture and my character calling your character mother.
Yeah, so lastly, before we end the session here, the GM then is supposed to, like humanity, your status is also in constant flux, always reflecting your current position in the predatory community. You choose status when you're creating your character, thereafter your status changes in one of four ways. So basically here, at the end of each session, the GMs listen to a recap and ask for clarifications, questions if needed. Then the GM thinks over your character's position in the predatory community and uses the definition in the status table above to decide how your status changes or if it doesn't. And I don't think anyone did this time.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think there is at least Matilda is doing some work at possibly moving up if she succeeds next session.
She's trying.
And there's also other ways of doing it. So I would specifically point you in the direction of your status move.
Yeah.
Which is basically like your this is how I scheme and machinate to move up in society pointer mechanically.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So yeah, that's the session then.
Yeah, that was awesome. We're gonna go around and do our outros, where people can find us, all of that good stuff. Starting with you, Mikhail.
Yeah, I am Mikael again. Yes, I was very fun. Well, gruesome. I mean, to run this session with you guys. I look forward to. It was really nice to like have a. It was a very good session. I think I'm very pleased with like how it went. And this is a game that requires a little bit of lifting in terms of mechanics. So I am very like you did great, and I am very happy. So I really look forward to next week and yeah, seeing you machinate and do more horrible things, and I will like put the hands over my eyes and stuff like that. So yeah, otherwise you can find me on Twitter at Mikael Tusve. Yeah, where I tweet about RPGs mostly. That's me.
Matthias.
Yeah, this game is scary. My character is awful. It's going to be a lot of fun exploring that with you three. You can find me at mthsblgr on Twitter, where yeah, I mostly tweet about TTRPG stuff.
Velvet.
Thank you all for joining us. I've been Velvet. I'm excited to play, the next link in a long line of Trashfire characters.
You fit right in.
You can find me on the interwebs at OG Brown Sugar.
Awesome. I'm Katie. You can find me on the internet at Katie Face. I play games on Off the Table and on Salty Sweet Games on Sundays. We'll be back next week, same time, and I cannot wait to play some more. And we are going to say goodbye, and I hope everyone has a great week. And yeah, that's it. I'm bad at outros, but I hope everyone has a great rest of their day, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye.